What's up, guys? Welcome to the October Halloween live show. So I'm actually trying something a little bit different on this show. And I'm really worried because on my screen here, I'm looking at my stream status. And what it's saying is everything is fine. The stream status is quote unquote good. But literally every couple of minutes, it's putting up a warning about how my bitrate is way too low. And I kind of double checked my router. I did my little upload speed tests and everything like that. And everything should be good, except like clockwork, you can set your heartbeat to this thing every 2 minutes. It's like YouTube is just popping up a thing saying, hey, your bitrate dropped to practically nothing. So, long story short, I'm slightly worried about this. I'm going to be on camera in a sec, so normally on a normal show, you'd probably be seeing me on screen by now, but like I said, trying something new. I've got a little surprise Halloween costume for you guys. Yeah, your voice is instantly relaxing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't feel very relaxed right now. YouTube is like triggering me something fierce. So, what is up, everybody? Hopefully you guys are all having a happy Saturday. And what better way to spend it than hanging out online with all your reef aquarium friends. And you can dress up in the safety of your own home, right? Well, audio is good. Let's see how the video goes. Yeah, hopefully. We have a lot of hope-based strategies going on in this live stream, let me tell you. So I was going to have a guest also on this live show. Unfortunately, she was feeling a little under the weather. It might be allergies, who the heck knows. So, unfortunately, Becca's not joining us today because we were going to do some Halloween-y type things. But anyway, I am flying solo. Let's see. Brandon Dennis. The Colorado Sunburst Anemone I bought last stream is doing awesome. It's split and both halves have doubled in size. That is awesome. Van is dressed as the crow. No. I don't know. I might not be dressed up as anything in a second here if this stream thing doesn't like calm the heck down. You should do another Hot Wings stream again. I just might. I was like, you know what? I had a lot of fun doing that stream. It was fun to have some folks over and just get annihilated. So I don't think I ever mentioned this. But like the day after, I was just like cleaning up, you know, like the tables and everything like that. Cleaning up my keyboard and mouse and just handling my mouse. It actually hurt my hand. Like I could feel like the actual chemical burn from the previous day's hot sauce that the tiny little bit got onto my mouse. And just in cleaning the mouse the second day, I could feel it through my fingers. So maybe we'll do another Hot Wing stream, but probably should give it a little bit of time too. You can always default to the YouTube is drunk excuse should things go topsy-turvy on your stream. Well, I have a feeling that this one is going to fall right into the lap, blame-wise, with Adobe. I do not like Adobe very much. There's weird stuff that happens when I do stuff with Adobe. So we'll see if that translates to some gremlins, some technical gremlins today. Nathan doing big work on his new tank. Hopefully you guys got caught up on his latest tank update. I put it out about 3 days ago. His tank is looking pretty good. It's already quite advanced since that video was made even. He's got like fish and coral in it from the last time I saw an update on his Facebook page. So at some point, I need to get back over there and shoot yet another update. Sorry, I'm just catching up on a couple of the comments here. So Florida, having some issues with his Euphilia. Unfortunately, with Euphilia, it could be anything nowadays. Because when it comes to Euphilia, I'm noticing that a lot of the recent imports, pretty fragile. These days, I try to source all of my stuff from aquaculture sources, meaning pretty much hobbyists. Because whenever we try to do anything with the imported stuff, first of all, it's crazy expensive. And second of all, it's kind of tricky, kind of fragile. So not the biggest fan of that. So depending on like how your corals were sourced, that might be an issue. A lot of times it's a bacterial thing. It could potentially be like a pest thing, but the pests, although pretty terrible, are fairly uncommon. It's more often than not bacterial. So if that's the case, you might want to try some kind of antiseptic dip, but it sounds like they're already a little bit perturbed. Port Wolf, Van, have you ever ran across any live phytoplankton dosing containers? I have, here and there. You can order them from like, basically like aquaculture supply places, I think have some decent ones. But I think most often those types of companies just kind of come and go. Because the competitor to such a product is literally like a 2-liter bottle. So most often people like look at this really nice acrylic contraption and they're like, well, I could spend $300 on that, or I could DIY it for basically free, and they end up DIYing it. And that phytoplankton reactor manufacturer just kind of goes away. Most of the ones I've seen lately as far as phytoplankton growing things and dosing things, it's basically one of those 5-gallon water cooler type things. Easy way to retrofit something into that type of container. You can grow all the phyto you want. All right, we have about a minute left before the actual coral portion of the show starts. I think that we've got maybe a little over 200 corals, so we'll be going for about 3 hours, I'm guessing. So anyways, hopefully you guys can stick around for the whole show. I know that many people kind of like pop in and pop out, and I'm also really, again, hoping that this thing just doesn't like glitch itself into the abyss. That would be nice too. So anyway, you can tell I have the utmost faith in the technology right now. Big faith. Because what could possibly go wrong, right? Alrighty. I'm going to give you a little sneak peek at what I look like for Halloween. Check this out. All right, this might just bomb out the stream, so let's see. Hey, what's up? Yeah, so this is the sort of thing I have Becca work on during our slow periods. It's like, yeah, hey Becca, why don't you make me an animated character for our Halloween show and have it track my eyes, track my voice, And we can do this animation in real time. So, if you guys don't know who I am, does anybody know who I am? Who am I for Halloween? I'm sure some people have watched 90s era anime. All right. And I missed it by 30 seconds. My bad. Here we go. Hopefully this works. Clyde is wondering, is this a coral auction? It's more just like a coral sale, I would say. You can purchase all of these corals on tidalgardens.com/live. Yeah, Freeman's Aquatics gets it. Yeah. Naruto. No, 90s era. I'm old, remember? So this is the sort of stuff I grew up with. Yep. And I'm stylishly, by the way, this is the only time you'll probably see me in a t-shirt. So I'm wearing our Japanese theme Tidal Gardens t-shirt, which you can find at tidalgardens.com/merch. Gonna throw that out there. So I love this like little program, assuming that it doesn't, you know, bomb out my stream. But like the hair is even animated in different layers. So if I like whip my hair around a little bit, it kind of like bounces. Yeah. Okay, actually, you know what? While chat catches up, I'm going to say my thank yous to the Patreon and YouTube membership crowd. So let's start off. Usually start with the Patreon people first, but this time I will go to the YouTube members. So quick shout out to Deidre Zuener, Souza Melinda, Two Please Coral Reefs, haven't seen him in chat just yet, Hal Scott, and Joseph Posada. So thank you guys very much. And let's hop into the Patreon crowd. Much longer list. So what's up? Bill Russell, Brandy Camp, Christopher Frame, Jeremy Altman, Joseph Debo, Alan Jackson, Chuck Admire, DJU, DJI, JUU. All right. Anyway, moving on. Ernest Wallace, Gene A. Van Voorst, Greg Zimmerman, Gwen Nicodemus, Hal Scott, Harkins Aquatics, Jordan, Keith Singer, Kevin Cortez, Lisa Clow, Phil Harton, Puddle Aquatics, Reef Infidel, Rico's Aquariums, Rigoberto Rodriguez, Ryan Kern, Santa Nomine, Scotty D, Skylar Korn, Sue Hemmons, The Classroom Reef, Thomas Tarrant, Trevor Joseph Overbeck, Zara McIntosh, Rebecca Hall, Tim Garner, and I think that's it. We end on Tim. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Appreciate it, you guys. I definitely appreciate the folks that are like pitching in over $20 because, I mean, that could be a Netflix subscription, right? And you choose to support the channel. So very, very much appreciated. And yes, I do not too often dress too casually. I don't even know if that's true or not, but if you see me in person or online, it's going to be mostly not casual. There's another little slight wrinkle to this little Dragon Ball costume. It's like it can actually go Super Saiyan also, but I'm going to save that for later. I'm going to save that for any time anybody does a super chat. How's that? I can make this thing go Super Saiyan. But yeah, it's a pretty neat little thing. Becca was gonna come and be like an animated Link from Legend of Zelda, but Becca no está aquí. Florida Squad LTF. Are mangroves good filtration? Are they better than macro and are they expensive? Let me think. It's probably not really better than macroalgae or anything like that. I mean, it's kind of a slow-growing tree. I don't think they're particularly expensive, though. I mean, you can kind of like find seedlings online for anything between like $5 to $20, depending on the size. Now, if you wanted an actual like tree-sized one, something with any kind of real size to it, with lots of branches, lots of leaves, that could be hundreds of dollars. But so no, not expensive. They're a little high maintenance because in order for you to keep them happy, you have to kind of like spray down their leaves and things like that, because the leaves deposit, I think, like all that calcium and magnesium and stuff that they soak up from salt water. I don't even know if it's calcium or magnesium. I just know that you have to basically mist them every day with a little bit of RO on the leaves. And as far as like their filtration capacity, I don't see it being more productive than like refugium with macroalgae. Okay, Lorenzo Moss. How do you purchase? Okay, so if you go to, this also should be in the description of the video, but I'll just like say it out loud for everybody to hear. If you go to tidalgardens.com/live, you will be taken to the live show page on our website. And these are basically just regular items. You can put them all into your shopping cart and check out. When you do check out, though, in order to actually reserve the item for yourself, it has to be fully checked out, meaning that if you just kind of like have an open shopping cart until the end of the show, some other people might have purchased that item. So it's a good idea to check out more frequently. And if you were to place multiple orders, in order to kind of avoid multiple instances of shipping, you can select as the shipping method adding to an existing order. So that's kind of how that works. Shipping is a flat rate $39.99, but it is free over $250. So depending on how much you purchase, you might not have to pay shipping. And Diacanthus Reef, thank you so much for spelling that out there. Mark C, hey Than, what's with the avatar? It is my Halloween costume for you guys. This is my Halloween. ATF, any fox corals on the site? You know, fox corals, it has been a really, really long time since I've even owned one. I don't know why they're somewhat uncommon these days, but I haven't seen it in anybody's tank in a long time. I know that it's been well over 10 years since I've had one. Yeah, so definitely not to answer your question, not anything on this show. But yeah, it's kind of a little puzzling thing. Like, I don't know why there hasn't been fox coral. I can't imagine it's really that rare in the wild or anything like that, but no, don't see them too often. It's not a very popular thing, I guess. Recognize. What is the benefit to having a closed loop pump versus an in the tank wave maker like an MP40? I saw you went closed loops on the new display tank. So there are a couple of big benefits that I like. So first off, I think that your selection of higher quality pumps are going to be available as like an external closed loop versus an inside the tank power head. That's like the really the biggest thing. I lied already. It's not the biggest thing. The absolute biggest thing is a closed loop pump being externally mounted is a lot easier to clean. So you can just close off a couple valves, unscrew a couple of unions, and you have easy access to this external pump for maintenance. I love that. So in a pinch, I would always like it for the maintenance reasons. Also, less of that pump is going to be like in the water to collect a lot of like debris and growth and stuff like that. So instead of like the pump itself growing all this flora and fauna, it's like it'll be like a filter strainer or something, and that can be easily cleaned versus like the wet side of a pump or a max spec gyre, for example. And certain in the tank power heads, if they're not cleaned frequently, they basically lose like 80% of their power, and you really have to keep up with it. Those are like the big things. Now, a third reason, which is purely theoretical for me anyway, is that it would be like less noise and vibration being transmitted into the aquarium. Now, I say purely theoretical is because in my tanks, I can definitely hear the closed loops. I have both Ecotech closed loops as well as Abiz closed loops. And as you can probably imagine, the Abiz closed loops that are 10 times the price are both more powerful and quieter. The thing that perhaps I messed up in the design was to really, I guess, like further isolate these pumps from the tank. I should have a section of silicone tubing that kind of soaks up more of that vibration. I could always cut that in the future, but I didn't for my current build. So who knows? Maybe I could get them even quieter. Let's see. Romeo S. Thank you so much for being such a great resource for the reefing community and for all the great videos you post. You're welcome. It's always been a great learning experience. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's always good just to get some other people's opinions and experiences as far as all this stuff goes. And I try to provide at least like my little slice of experience, but there's a ton of stuff that I haven't tried, and there's definitely like other people that do certain things a lot better, but I think that we've done a whole bunch of different things here at the very least, and so I can at least shed some light onto the stuff I've seen. Let's see, moving on. Gus, how do you keep your calcium reactors from maintaining a constant drip of effluent? Mine seems to need okay, maybe I'm just misreading your question. Mine seems to need adjustments every few days. We have like a pretty heavy amount of like water flow coming out of the effluent line. So ours looks like it's not a drip at all. It's pretty much a steady stream. I know that some folks, especially lately, have gone to peristaltic pumps, which you place on the suction side of a calcium reactor rather than having like a feed pump pushing water in. And when you have like a peristaltic pump like that, you can a lot more easily dial in the amount of flow going through the reactor. It's a lot more precise than just like forcing water in and then kind of tweaking like a ball valve on the effluent line. So we've done it both ways. We don't seem to have a problem with either method. I think if anything, it's just because we have it more open that like the deposits become less of an issue when you have that much flow going through it. I think that when you have like the drop of effluent, I guess it opens it up more to like some more, condensate is the wrong word, but build up. Let's see. Alaric. I'm running an Evo 13.5, doing a full mixed reef with photo and non-photosynthetic gorgonians. Okay, cool. Macy's daddy. Than, did you see Reefed worked at a top 10 YouTubers and you were #1? I didn't catch that. That's very nice of him. I just recently started to watch a little bit of like aquarium YouTube. Trying to think of like who lately I saw that I liked. I saw a really cool like floating reef from this German guy, Sea Friendly Reef. He did like a tank, like a kind of like, I don't know if it's a tank review or just a tank showing of like this guy's floating aquascape. That was really cool. And then I looked at Parker's Reef. I don't know if he's like Australian or from New Zealand or something, but my guess is he's in that neck of the woods. And he is putting together his own personal tank, and there's some like cool little design concepts going on in that build. So these days, to be perfectly honest, what I tend to watch all day is just like video game people playing Among Us. It's not even very much reef aquarium related. So I have to say that lately, a lot of our corals here have just been doing super well. Pretty much every year we make some kind of improvement, and because of like how much has been going on like the past couple of years, a lot of what we've been able to do as far as like the greenhouse goes has really started to pay off, because usually the trend is stuff does a lot better in the wintertime, and right around midsummer stuff will start to struggle quite mightily. A lot of it has to do with like the extra sunlight, the pollen, the temperature, you name it. So as we get better at managing all those things, our corals tend to do better. And sure enough, this year is like by far the best. And we also have a lot more in the way of like our just ability to stay up on doing like the micro maintenance. So for example, we're looking at like a long stretch now of zoanthids. Zoanthids, people are always kind of wondering, like, are zoanthids easy corals to keep? And they kind of are. But when you kind of like scale it up to like a farming system, they get susceptible to like detritus issues, because there's these little crustaceans that like to kind of like make their little dens and stuff like that around the base of corals. And in particular, they like to do that with zoas. And if you're able to clean them off more regularly, the zoas will grow and stay open a lot better. And it's always just kind of a, finding like the time and energy to do that. But because we've been able to do that better, a lot of our zoa production and the health of the corals has like big time improved. So very happy to see that. Nikolai Morel, he is from Melbourne, Australia. Cool. Yeah, I figured. I mean, like the accent is a thing, but also the type of equipment that he was using. It's like some of those brands are like, I know that like Cove Aquatics, for example, is in China, and I know that like they don't they kind of have like that footprint in that region. Alaric, would Tidal Gardens be open to the public for a tour in shop? Right now, unfortunately, COVID is kind of going crazy here, so no. We are basically doing local pickup where we bring it out to people's cars. In the past, yeah, we totally had, people come, set up an appointment and shop, but these days, not so much. Hopefully in the future. That is the hope. You'll just have to take my word for it that it's kind of cool here. Things are looking nice. It's always kind of fun. Like right now we're setting up, well, we're not setting up, it's kind of set up, but we're always making kind of like small tweaks. So we have pretty much all of the aquariums downstairs with salt water in them. There's a little bit more to go, and a little bit of modifications have to be made. Like there's like a leak or something like that, which if you have seen anything of like our building updates, there's about 1,000,001 places that could be leaking. And so there's 1 or 2 places that do decide to leak. So once we kind of get that figured out, perhaps getting all the equipment situated where we like, that sort of thing. But we are hopefully going to have another 2,500-ish gallon system with corals in it in December. Let's see. Carrie Robbins. I have a baseball-sized red Goniopora that I've had for 6 years. It just started to STN at one small spot and has been growing. Any ideas? Infections do happen like that. Sometimes you get like a little bit of damage or something like that that goes on. The nice thing about Gonies is you can propagate them fairly easily. And if you're able to do that and give it a quick shot of disinfectant, that could save the entire colony. So that was probably what I would try to do. Tip on green hair algae control. My nitrates and phosphates are 2 and really, really low, 0.01. Once I removed the sea hair, green hair algae came back. Any tips? Ever use fluconazole? Luis, no, I have not used fluconazole. Thinking about it because there's like a couple of tanks that have some little bit of algae that we'd like to get rid of. Personally, I haven't done it. I don't know, chat. Like, what do you guys think? How many people in chat have used fluconazole? And when you did it, did you have any issues with any of with any corals for that matter? Because I've heard that sometimes certain SPS will react really poorly to fluconazole. For example, like maybe some Montipora, maybe some Acropora, for some reason or another, don't like fluconazole. But like I said, I have never personally tried it. When it comes to that sort of stuff, I get a little bit gun shy because I think that green hair algae is one of those things, and especially in a small aquarium, it can be totally managed with like a toothbrush and a siphon tube and just some little bit of diligence. Kind of breaking out anything more extravagant than that, I think, is just kind of like opening up the whole system to undue risk. But yeah, in chat, like, let me know like what your experiences with fluconazole have been for kind of from algae maintenance and control. Got any green stem gold hammers? No. When it comes to Euphilia, unless there's like a home hobbyist that's been like growing them for like a really long time and wants to like bring some in for like a trade of some sort, think that sort of thing, which is fairly uncommon. We don't dip our toe too much with the Euphilias these days. Like, especially when it comes to like, buying it from like an importer or a wholesaler, they're so very expensive. I mean, you guys like see the retail price. The wholesale price is pretty ugly as well. And like they are not hardy corals, especially just coming like fresh off the proverbial boat. Definitely not that super tough coral. So big risk. I mean, you're going to be spending a lot of money, or I should say I'm going to be spending a lot of money, and yeah, I'm not about that. So one person I see has used it for bryopsis, no effect on large polyp stonies. I have heard that as well, that it doesn't really mess with LPS too much. Mo, I've not used it, but I did recently purchase some Vibrant. I've seen some other tanks that have had some success with it. It takes time though. So Vibrant is one of the things that we have tried here. And I would say for us, it was kind of a mixed bag with Vibrant. There were definitely some, okay, so first of all, 100% does work on algae. And if you use it for like, for like a good long time, aggressively, we were using it pretty aggressively, I would say. It pretty much totally nukes algae. So what we did notice that is after a while, we would notice that certain LPS would go from like super happy, healthy, like Favias, for example, all of a sudden would just crash. That was a little weird. The other thing that we saw was we have this gigantic Colorado sunburst bubble tip anemone. And it went from spectacular colors to like totally drab, to the point that it's like, is that even a sunburst at all? I kind of remember that it had better color, sort of thing. Didn't die, but definitely like colored down. And when we stopped, it colored back up eventually. We also noticed that some SPS color changed a little bit, but nothing as drastic as some of like the corals, like the LPS, and even some of like the soft corals. They didn't do too well with it. But it super did work on algae. Now, having said that, when we did stop, what algae did come back was like the stuff that you really didn't want to come back. So for example, we didn't have like bryopsis for like years here. You would never find bryopsis in our tanks. But after we like nuked all the algae and then stopped Vibrant, we started to get bryopsis. And my thinking is that a lot of the other, I guess, like less problematic algae that we would normally have, so even like coralline, like whatever, was outcompeting the bryopsis and kind of like keeping it down. But once we killed off all of those other not quite so big of a deal algae, is when like the really tough stuff that survived most of the Vibrant treatment could get a foothold and start taking off. So it's like, well, I don't know, was this all worth it? Not really sure. But going back to the whole talk about ZOAS, since I'm kind of looking at the ZOAS on screen here, the ZOAS really benefited, because a lot of what keeps them closed, beyond like, for example, those little like creepy crawlies and stuff like that, sometimes the microfilm algae and stuff like that, they kind of accumulate on zoanthids, and like over time that kind of just keeps them closed. And ZOAS, they try to periodically kind of like shed off this waxy layer of skin or whatever, this coat, to try to like clean themselves of that type of algae. And with Vibrant, that stuff just went away. So all of our ZOAS were like very happy to be a lot cleaner. So it's a mixed bag, I would say. If I had a very ZOA heavy system, I'd give it a try again. Macy's Daddy, Vibrant works great, but anemones hate it, will kill them over time. Yeah, that's kind of been, well, at least ours didn't die. Didn't like it for sure. Intricate Reefer had no issues with fluconazole for a bunch of LPS and soft corals. Did get cyano, but treated with chemicline at the same time, no problems. Knocked things out so quick compared to Vibrant. Yeah, that's kind of what I hear. Simulated reality. You've been looking for a hydnophora or Pocillopora frag. I don't know why, but we used to have fields of hydnophora, and right now we literally have one frag of it. One. We have fields of Pocillopora though. Pragnesh, how to grow coralline algae. Not too difficult really, the purple stuff. The mistake that most people make with that is too much light. A lot of the coralline algae that people like really don't appreciate super intense lighting. So when we had really bright light, we would almost never see the purple stuff. We would only have that stuff growing on the underside of rocks. Pretty crazy. As far as like chemistry goes, you have to make sure that your calcium and alkalinity, specifically calcium, stays up there. Otherwise it won't grow. Jeff, Kurbatov. I've used fluconazole in my mixed reef and zero effects on any of my livestock. That's good to hear. He had some acros, montes, LPS, zoas, and everything. Okay. Because there's a very specific algae that I'm trying to get rid of. It's like wafer algae. I forget what that's called. It'll come to me eventually. But it's like this like slimy brown looking, flat looking algae. Not the biggest deal, but not a lot of things like to eat it. And so I'm trying to like make sure that it doesn't like get into my new systems and just be like a long-term hassle to deal with. Ryan Teagues, he's used it for Bryopsis and it worked like a charm. Did kill a large colony of red planet though. Ugh. I would not use it for green hair algae because there are other ways to eradicate it without risk. Yes, I agree with that. Like right now in our SPS show tank, we're getting really close to the point where we can start planting some acros on it, but we're just kind of getting over the initial like hair algae junk bloom that shows up on rocks. Intricate Reefer. Do you run into bacterial issues with zoas and mushrooms? I know it's pretty common, wondering what you do for treatment. When it comes to bacterial stuff, not as much. No, not really. No. So the sort of bacterial thing that we would ever see on zoas would be like zoapox, for example, the little white sores or something. You can kind of like pop them like zits. It's gross. We only see that when there isn't enough flow for a particular zoa, and there's like too much crud kind of like accumulating around it. So once we've kind of bumped up our flow and there's enough kind of like pounding against that colony to keep it cleaner, again, it always goes back to like the cleanliness for zoas. I think that is like the easiest way to be successful with them is like more flow, just a cleaner tank in general does wonders for them. For whatever reason, they really like to get like accumulated with all kinds of junk. Mo is asking a question on fox faces. I know you recommend them from algae, so I added one, but it's very small and in QT right now. I can't figure out what to feed, not eating very much. QT has no algae in it. A foxface should be able to eat anything. So pellets, frozen food, flakes, anything. It doesn't necessarily need to graze on algae. Yeah, hopefully you just didn't buy like a super unhealthy fish to begin with. But as long as they have like some hiding places and stuff like that to kind of get it a little bit comfortable, it shouldn't have feeding issues. Like they're not finicky eaters. So David Convery, I have a spot in the corner of my tank. It's below a power head, strong flow, which coral would be okay in a high flow area. There's a bunch of corals that actually do appreciate some high flow. Like I mentioned, zoanthids would do well. Gorgonians might do pretty well. We have some on this show, but it's not until much, much later. Trying to think, what other corals would like high flow, but lower in the tank? Depending on how much you feed, certain non-photosynthetic corals, if you're looking for something a little bit more challenging, like a lot of those like to be in a good amount of flow just to be able to capture food. But at the same time, it depends on what kind of fish you have. Because depending on the fish, they might be a little bit too boisterous and kind of like get in there and start chewing up all the food that's kind of trapped in those colonies. Raheem, happy Halloween, friends. Happy Halloween to you too. Two Please isn't here, so no one's putting in super chat, so I haven't gone Super Saiyan yet. I'll give you like a 1 second to preview what that looks like. That's it. Let's see. So this is Lonnie asking, Lonnie Murray. I'm gradually trying SPS, starting with the easier ones, Pavona, Passalopora, they're doing well. What should I try next? Also, we have Blue Ridge Coral again. Blue Ridge is weird. We have it, we don't have it, we never seem to have it propagated. It's like just overgrown on some rock somewhere, and it looks like trash probably. It looks like total garbage. So I guess we haven't been super excited about doing it. So are we going to have it soon? Unlikely. But as far as some other ones to try, excuse me 1 sec. Excuse me. You could try like Bird's Nest. I think Bird's Nest or Montipora might be a good option. Christopher Warden, do you plan on getting any Indo-lobophilia now that Indonesia is open? In your video, you said that they're easier to propagate and are generally more hardy than the Australian lobos. Maybe. So here's the quandary there. The Australian lobos look a lot nicer. The coloration is way better, but they're much less hardy. They don't grow very well. We don't really do very much in the way of propagating them. So I'm not really sure. When we did a lot of propagating of the Indonesian lobos and stuff like that, I mean, they were cool, but they were brown. And back then, this was like years ago, by the way. Back then, people bought brown corals. These days, people really don't. I mean, nobody's going to be beating down your door for brown lobophilia. So maybe if I found some like awesome ones, but I haven't seen that. Shaolin Lily. Maybe I pronounced that correctly. Maybe I didn't. I don't have a saltwater tank, but my God, your corals are absolutely stunning. Thank you. I'm going to try to save up and get one of these animals. They are amazing. Yeah, and here's kind of like the nice thing about this hobby right now if you're trying to start. There's never been more information readily available for beginners than there is now. There is a lot of like really good content out there on how to start a tank, and pretty much all the way up to like some really elaborate systems. Like when I first started out, you pretty much were at the, I mean, you basically just had to rely on like the opinion of like your local pet store. There weren't any like clubs. There wasn't social media. There wasn't YouTube. I mean, there's like nothing. So it was basically like books and your local store. So yeah, there wasn't nearly that kind of information to get started. And I bring that up because in this planning stage, the more research that you can do now, you will save so much money and so many headaches just by doing research. I mean, I once said, like, you will save $1,000 for every hour you spend doing research. And these days you probably will. I mean, you will avoid so many products that you just simply don't need, and going for like a simpler system that's very like, you know, purpose built. You will avoid all kinds of issues with livestock. And if you're already able to exercise patience, that's like 90% of the battle right there. So yeah, it's never been a better time for people to like get into this hobby and to learn how to do it properly. A lot of good info out there. Only downside is it is expensive. But again, it's like you can't save money by killing livestock. So yeah, even though stuff is more pricey these days than when I first started, it's like, it's way better too. I mean, like, that's another thing. When I first started, there's two colors. There's green and there's brown. And you were really lucky to get green. Like, there was never a situation where like, you saw like rainbow stuff. Never. Okay, reading chat here. Let's see. David E. Hi, Than. A little off the reefing topic, but saw you were a diver and curious best place you ever dove and why. I don't know. Let's see. I haven't gone diving in too many places really. So I've gone diving a few times in the Caribbean, in and around Mexico. I have gone diving in Hawaii a few times. I did a pretty cool shark dive in Mexico. I've gone diving in Okinawa. If I had to choose any place, I think I would go to Okinawa. Japan is like one of my favorite places to go, period. So just to go to Okinawa, I would do it. Now, when I went to Okinawa, I didn't even get to like really go diving in any really cool spot because I wasn't there for very long, only like a few days, maybe 5 days at the most. And the day that I could go diving, because like you shouldn't go diving like right before you hop onto a plane, for example, like bad things could happen. So the day that I had scheduled my dive, it was basically like a tropical storm. It was bad. It was like a driving driving horizontal rain sort of thing. And so there's only one spot where we could go diving, which is basically outside of my hotel. And what was really cool though was that there was some kind of aquaculture project happening right outside my hotel. I couldn't find anybody to explain it to me, but essentially there were fields of like man-made planted like metal stakes with acropora colonies. And when I was there, I mean, some of these acropora colonies were like bigger than like a conference table. Like they were huge. And very recently, one of the Japanese folks that I follow, or not follow, like he's a Facebook friend, he had posted a picture of what that place looks like now. And those acroporas are like, they're like truck sized. They're so gigantic. I mean, it's like this thriving like reef, and it's in a lagoon right outside of this hotel. So that was like really, really cool. Now, having said that, the other places that I've seen these guys go diving in Okinawa would have been like totally next level. But I don't know if I'm like that good of a diver for that. From what I understand, diving in Okinawa, certain places, it's basically like you're in a river and you're fighting for your life. So maybe that's not the best choice for me. I mean, I'm like a certified diver, but I don't do it that often. I live in Ohio, so I don't get that much opportunity to do that type of stuff. I know just enough to hopefully get back onto the boat alive. Microbius Blue, greetings from the UK. Anime Than is excitingly weird, quite discombobulating. Yeah. Let's see. Scott Morrison, hi. Hope everyone is all good. Scotland is very wet just now. It's been super rainy this whole time here. Like the last several weeks have been kind of crazy. Yeah, I don't know why. Like today's like nice and sunny, but there's like a couple of days where like it basically we never had daylight. It was just, oh, it's evening all the time here. It's like Castlevania or something. Reef therapy. Than, I apologize for the question. No need to apologize, unless it's a really dumb question. I've been listening while building a workbench. Any good favias in this sale? Yes. Yes, I would say so. We have some nice favia. I don't know what numbers they are, but I know we've got some. Like, I need to pay attention more to my own live show when I'm actually editing it. But I think we have like some really cool stuff like Fascination Favias, and we might have like a Scorpion King. I don't remember. Like my two favorite Favia right this second are like that fuchsia and yellow Scorpion King, and like that rainbow colored Meltdown. Liu Tom, China Reefer, welcome. Soon I like to restart my saltwater tank with all types of inverts. That's cool. We recently got these blue and black nudibranchs that eat flatworms, and we put them in there, and sure enough, they ate flatworms. And then I don't think they did that well. They were acting like really suspicious, and I hope they're still alive. It's only been one day, and I have never had these things before, so I don't know if they just normally act that weird. But I'm like, I hope these things just didn't eat a whole bunch of like flatworms, just fall over dead on us. But yeah, different types of inverts are very cool. Mo, the reef hobby is amazing. You will love it. Just when you do your research initially, you will notice for everything someone says, someone else will say the opposite. Yeah, you could find quite a bit of that. The nice thing, especially with YouTube, is that people can show their work. So in the past, people would just have opinions. These days, people have opinions and video of their tank. And you can kind of see people's level of success fairly quickly. Don't want to be that hater, but some people have opinions and they just simply don't have the tank to back it up. And it's like, well, I don't really want my tank to look like yours. So that pretty much ends that little, kind of like that little line of inquiry. But having said that, there are many ways to actually be successful. So you might find these two diametrically opposed opinions, and both people have nice aquariums. Because when you really break it down, this whole hobby comes down to like clean water, stable chemistry, good nutrient removal, good lighting, good flow, and there's many ways to achieve those goals. And if you do achieve those goals, congratulations, your tank probably looks just fine. Unless you have no artistic ability whatsoever and you just don't know what you're, I don't know, like you're just growing some like awful algae and mojanos or something. And maybe even then it would look good. Who knows? Ozman, is there any corals that would be happy around 150 par? Okay, so first off, that lighting is fine. Most things would do okay-ish in that light. Encrusting and lower flow. Lower flow, don't necessarily need high flow. Low flow sometimes gets me worried because I was about to say like, well, an encrusting thing, lower flow, you might be okay with something like Stylociniella, perhaps. Something colorful at the top of the scape. So something towards the top, low flow, encrusting. Maybe something like Leptoceras might look pretty cool because Leptoceras tends to be very bright. You could go with Montipora, but they might want a little bit more flow, whereas I think Leptoceras might not care quite so much. So I forget who was asking about Favia, but it looks like we're in the Favia section now of the show. Let's see what is up next. Yeah, this will give you a good idea. Oh, I forgot. There's another Favia out there. I don't know if I passed already, but it's called an Ultron Favia that I like a lot. Those are really cool. That's probably like my number 3 favorite Favia. David E. Shark dives are awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'm in Ohio too. Are you going to be open day after Thanksgiving? So unfortunately, David, we're not having locals actually here in the facilities right now. Whole COVID thing, whatever. But hopefully in the future we will be able to. And shark dives are fun. Like the sharks that we saw were bull sharks. Surprisingly chill animals. And we were surprisingly deep. I think that we were like over 100 feet deep, and my camera totally stalled out on me. I had an action camera in like an underwater housing, and because of the pressure, it wouldn't activate. Like I'd hit the button and just like nothing would happen. 2 please. What's up, everyone? Nice cosplay, Than. Sorry I can't stay today as I'm working. 2 please. The whole chat should say thank you because this little costume of mine, I can go Super Saiyan. I said I'm gonna go Super Saiyan once I get a super chat. So there you go, guys. I get to go Super Saiyan for the 2 please $4.99. Happy Halloween, everybody. So I'm going to be looking angry for a little while here. So this one here, I like a lot because so you see like the hair on this guy? There's like 13 different layers of hair. So it kind of like gives a little bit of a different wobble to it. I love it. Poor Becca. She's like, I don't know what I signed up for, but I wasn't expecting to have to do all this. Two, please. Working on my new house, and I'm crunched to get it finished. That must be nice. You know what? Progress is good. Like right now, there's like 10 different things that I wish I could be doing like simultaneously. I mean, obviously, guys, I'd love to do these live shows, right? But at the same time, my plumber is making a visit to us, and it's always like a big deal when I can actually get my plumber over here. And I would like to be over his shoulder telling him, you know, it's like, hey, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that. Before you leave, just do this, right? So he's downstairs, maybe doing some stuff. Who knows? So anyway, yeah, I know the feeling. But progress of any kind is good. Let's see. Kathy Baird. Can I achieve successful coral growth using only T5 lighting? Absolutely. T5 is one of the best types of lighting for years, and we still actually do. We still grow a lot of corals under T5. One could argue that T5 lighting is like vastly superior to most commercially available LEDs. I mean, like the super top end LEDs, they're pretty darn good, but you can get extraordinary coral growth and coloration with a very inexpensive T5 fixture, and I mean like dirt cheap T5 fixture, $130, $150, something like that, and swap out the bulbs to something like from ATI, or what's the other brand, you guys? Korallenzucht, so some German T5 company, right? That will blow the doors off of like most of the LED market. The reason why we don't use a whole bunch of T5s in our new building, we've gone mainly with LEDs, is a lot of it just because of heat. This is a pretty well insulated building, so excuse me, so all the heat that we generate pretty much stays here. So unless I want to be running my air conditioner like year round just to manage the heat buildup, yeah, I don't really want to do that. So we ended up going with like a lower heat output lighting. But yes, long answer, but you will have, the lighting will not be the reason for any bad experiences with your tank. I mean, T5s are great lights. Geissman, yeah, Geissmans are good. Mo, biggest mistake I've made is getting obsessed with ultra low nutrient. My advice to new reefers would be to not get too caught up in the different hypes. Yeah, I've never had a positive experience with ultra low nutrient. So two things on that point. One of my friends is very successful running ultra low nutrient. He's doing some manner of aquaforest, and he's done Zeovit in the past. He's done Red Sea, ultra low. When I did it, everything went to hell. So I definitely didn't have a great experience doing that. Having said that, my new system right downstairs, it is every bit of 2,000 plus gallons, absolutely undetectable phosphates and nitrates. Undetectable. And I'm not used to that. Out at the greenhouse, we have 50 to 100 nitrates sometimes. We have up to 2 parts per million phosphate, right? And everybody that's trying to do the ultra low nutrient stuff is like 0 nitrate, 0.01 phosphate sort of stuff. But that's kind of like what we're doing in our new systems. Not intentionally either. I would be much happier if we had nitrate right around 10, 20 maybe. If we had phosphates at 0.05 to 0.1, that'd be kind of nice, you know? But yeah, I think, yeah, if you are already running a traditional system, I wouldn't be in a huge hurry to go and try some ultra low nutrient thing. Port Wolf. Than found it. Pentair carries 24-inch conical hatching jars with stand and lid and are perfect for phytoplankton. Very cool. You know what I was just thinking? I have once found something like that, like a conical thing like that with a spout at the bottom of the cone. And this is just a total little fun anecdote. And it was like at a fairly decent price. I think it was, I don't know, let's just say it was like $100 for like a 30-gallon conical thing, right, with stand. And the shipping was like $900. I'm sure it was just like a little anomaly, but needless to say, that was kind of a deal killer. Please, see y'all later. Happy Halloween, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Jeremy. Sorry, I had to check on something on my desktop here. I just had a total brain glitch. So somebody was asking about like some encrusting coral that would do well on like the top of their rocks. We are there with the different types of Leptoceras. So if you're still in stream, there you go. Thanks for all your hard work, Dan. Please. Thank you for the $2.99. And for that, we get to go Super Saiyan again. That's my only party trick I have for this show. I'm animated, and I could go Super Saiyan occasionally. Reef therapy. If I bought some Favia, how soon could I pick them up? Just curious. We could schedule a pickup perhaps sometime early next week. Like Mondays are usually like super busy for us because of like, okay, I'm not going to jinx it, but usually we make more than a couple of sales during this show, most of which gets handled on Monday. So Monday is a little bit hectic for the crew here. So we try to say, you know what, if you could come on maybe like a Tuesday or something like that, that'll help us out. But yeah, like once you're all done, just send us an email and say, hey, like to set up a pickup, and we'll get you on the calendar. ATF. Toadstool, Sinularia, GSPs, various other leathers, Goniapora, all seem to like higher flow, lower in tanks. Yeah. And funny, we kind of like circled back around to GSP, because GSP definitely likes a lot of flow. Eco Marines, what is up? How's everything over in the sunny UK? Great. Wednesdays would be practically perfect. So yeah, Eco Marines is one of the people I did say that I was gonna be animated for this show. So glad she's able to come see it. It's crazy, like, you know, like how things are like so different. I was right around close to this time last year. I was hanging out with Eco Marines in the UK, and now it's like I don't know when the heck I'm gonna get on a plane next, because there's like so many trips that I wanted to do and everything like that, and it's like all of that stuff didn't happen. And like my friends are like saying, hey, you know, do you want to like go to Hawaii and such and such time and date? And I'm like, maybe, but don't they have like a 2-week quarantine period? Like, don't I have to like pony up like $3,000 just to get through quarantine in Hawaii, and then I get to have my vacation? I was like, oh, dude, I don't know. I don't know how that works. Not so sunny. Not sure if you realize, but there's a Bergia stuck on your head. Is there? Kind of looks like that. I was just telling these guys that we got some of those. They're not Bergias. They're the blue and black ones that eat flatworms. We got a couple of those, and they immediately started eating flatworms, which is good. And then I think they're all rolling over dead right about now. And I don't know if that's their normal behavior and they just roll over like that, but it was kind of suspicious. So hopefully it's fine. We'll see. All right, Super Saiyan time over. We're back to normal Goku. Yeah, not so sunny. Yeah, it was super cloudy and awful for like the last several days here, but it's really nice right now, I have to admit. Am I gonna enjoy the great outdoors? No, because that would involve me doing my leaves or something. And you know what? Not today. Not seeing it. Lonnie, Leptoceras has done well for me so far as a beginning reefer. I think mine is the blood orange. Yeah, they're very cool, and I'm kind of happy that there's so many different varieties of it. I think we have like 7 different varieties going on. They grow really, really fast. I think that the only time that we ever have problems with Leptoceras is when our nutrients drop too low and they get starved out for something. Yep, Diacanthus reef, that's the kind. They kind of look like they have a hammerhead shark head. Yep. So it's chilly here. We're not in like full-blown like winter just yet. And the thing that my plumber was here doing was setting up a new like tankless furnace for the greenhouse. So here's the thing. This is all the stuff that I learned because of my plumber. So we do a lot of floor heat here, okay? And when you have floor heat, sometimes what people will also do is have that same furnace provide hot water to your faucets. And that's what is in my house, at the farmhouse. And in the greenhouse, we never did that. We just simply didn't have hot water. But when you do that, when you have like the water that's going into your floor also being the stuff that comes out of your faucet, you can get Legionnaire's disease. So I'm like, oh, hey, that's not good. That's really not good. So he is in the process of installing some dual boiler systems that fully separate the closed loops for the floor heat and the kind of like that municipal water supply for your shower and your faucets and everything like that. So it's like, oh yeah, because you know what? I don't want to get some crippling Bronze Age disease because some moron installed my tankless floor heat wrong way back in the day. So yeah, let's get on that. So as a side benefit, the greenhouse, for the first time ever, is going to have hot water at the faucets, which, considering how fancy Tidal Gardens is, you would think that that's a pretty basic function, and we simply haven't had that at the greenhouse forever. But we do now, so I'm pretty happy about that. And soon, hopefully, I will have that dual stage system in my house so I don't like fall over dead from something that dumb. Am I the only one wondering if Than is doing this in his PJs? I am. I absolutely am. Yeah, and yes, at least my little avatar here, my little puppet, he is wearing the new Tidal Gardens merch. So if you want to check that out, you can check it out at tidalgardens.com/merch. It's been weird, like the last few months. Basically, since Becca has come aboard and started actually designing like cool stuff for us, we used to like not have any merch sales, like period. I think we would sell like one t-shirt a year or something. And then once she started to come aboard and like actually like, again, make some designs for us, it's like we sold like hundreds of pieces of merch. And it's like, that is so cool that people actually like our stuff. I bet his PJs are a 3-piece suit. Maybe if you include the socks. Yeah, like pretty much nowadays, like I still dress up a bit. I was about to say, it's like I never dress up. That's not true. I definitely still do. I can hear them talking downstairs, and I'm just sitting there wondering, like, wonder what they're saying. Wonder if he's like fixed some stuff. There's so much I need to talk to him about, and it's like I'm sure he's trying to escape. Lonnie, is Anacropora as hard as Acropora? I've been eyeing that electric lemonade. No, they're a lot easier, I would say. When it comes to Anacropora, they tend to be faster growing and a lot more forgiving. I would say they're closer in difficulty to like Montipora rather than Acropora. Dude, that Tokyo Street hoodie, I just may have to get it. Yeah, if you're on Patreon, like Becca posted a picture of hers that just came in, and it's a cool looking hoodie. It's like super soft on the inside too. I like it. Support Wolf, Carhartt and work boots here. I don't even own PJs. So you know what's funny? Like I don't know how I get sometimes sucked into like these YouTube black holes, but I've gotten sucked into this YouTube black hole of this leather working like a cobbler, like a shoe person, and he disassembles a lot of different types of shoes, mainly work boots. So I've gotten like really well educated on what makes a good work boot, and like all these different brands that I've never heard of before. Like I've heard of like Red Wings and stuff like that, right? I even own a pair of Red Wings, but there's like boots by like Nicks and stuff, Nicks, and yeah, when he like starts to take those things apart, and then you see like the kind of like the level of craftsmanship, it's like, man, I would like to own a pair of those boots just because of how ridiculously high quality they are, and I'm the last guy in the world that needs work boots. on purpose. I'm trying to avoid that lifestyle a little bit at my age. But yeah, I'm just like so impressed by like the quality of some of these boots on this YouTube channel. Again, don't ask me why I watch these things, but some way, somehow, I find myself watching this guy cut open work boots for a few hours. Anyhow, back to corals. Chalices. Looks like we're on chalices now. This is one of those corals that for whatever reason, we have an expanding collection now, but we've always been a little bit thin on them. But now that we're, I guess, keeping them a lot better, especially in the systems downstairs, I'm becoming a lot more adventurous about acquiring more and more and more of them. And a lot of the ones that we've kept in the past that might have had like some kind of middling success, I think they were okay, are really starting to color up nicely. So I'm sure that I've mentioned it like a couple of times, but I'm always on the lookout for like some absolutely killer Indonesian chalices, like the ones with the eyes that are about this small. So these that might be like the Echinopora varieties. Versus like the really, really, really big-eyed ones. Like the big-eye ones tend to be a lot more fragile. I don't know if those are like oxyporas or whatever. And I don't know why like I was like leaning way over here, but that looked weird. But yeah, I could definitely stand to increase our collection when it comes to the chalices. And there's like several different types of like cool rainbows that I would like to add. Diacanthus. Well, I've been watching a large sailing boat being built, so I get it. Variety is fun. Funny you mentioned that. So a couple of my friends, they're like kind of in the retire as fast as humanly possible mode. And one of the things that they're really into is like the idea of like, you know, kind of that boat life sort of thing. They want to get like, I don't know, like a 30-foot boat and just kind of like live on it. And first of all, I don't think either of these people could handle living on a boat. Let's not even get it twisted. So if Lawson and Suzanne, if you're watching, I have no faith that you can drive a boat successfully and not get yourselves killed. Anyway, but because we talk about it, because maybe I did one Google search or something like that, my YouTube page is now recommending me all this yacht stuff, and it's usually either a family or a young couple that somehow found a 1970s era yacht and they are refurbishing it to like modern standards, and they are basically either sailing or yachting around the world. And it's very, very cool. Like it's kind of like, you know, like a travel vlog / boating specific content. Yeah, really, really interesting. And then I think like, oh wait, that boat is like the size of my desk. It's like, no, I can't live in something the size of my desk. ETF. Is that Flameboy a Favia or Favites? Flameboy, I believe, is a Favites. Ecomarines. We were having a debate the other day. What is the plural of chalice? Chalices, right? Just drop the S on the back of it. Here, let me quickly throw that into the Googles. I'm just going to do a quick Google search. Chalices. Chalices. Yeah. Totally a word. I mean, it's not exactly like a scientific name. It's, you know, bowls. I do like the idea. Oh, that's the other thing. Going along with like the whole living on a boat sailing lifestyle thing is the whole van life thing. That's another black hole there. But, you know, YouTube is hilarious because it's like I have a feeling that most of like those types of channels are kind of fake, because it'll be like some insanely attractive young couple and we decided to live in our van sort of thing. I'm like, I'm sure that like that van is parked in a parking lot and you guys are living in some 5-star hotel wherever you go. But whatever. It's kind of fun content. Ooh, we got another super chat. I don't know how much that is, but we go Super Saiyan for it. Any idea how to make a DIY light for a 20-gallon? So I don't know what is going to be available in your country, but the easiest thing, and perhaps like the most cost-effective thing, is just to get a T5 fixture. They're very, very, very inexpensive. And assuming that you can get decent quality T5 bulbs, they will pretty much outperform anything. And as far as like DIY, like these days, I don't even know if it makes a ton of sense to do DIY. Like, unless there's some really, really, really specific application that you're trying to do, you can find fully fleshed out fixtures, and pretty much at any price point, whether it's like the super cheap stuff or the super expensive stuff, but it's being made right now. And a lot of it is also like modular, so they're basically all just plug and play at this point. Bert Minishaw, absolutely love the Dragon Ball theme, love. Yeah, so Becca was supposed to be here, but she was kind of feeling a little under the weather, and she had made a character for herself, and she was going to be Link from Legend of Zelda, and her character's like really cool. I can't do it on my computer because I don't have I don't have the file. Long story short. Hey Than, you have a few labeled as Favia that look like Favites. Possibly. What's the differences, hardiness, growth rates? As far as their hardiness, they're both fairly similar. I would say that the growth rate, Favites grows a lot faster than Favia. And Favia usually have like a lot larger polyps. Favites are small polyped stuff. Smaller polyped stuff, I should say. DIY the hanging kit, not the light. You can do a lot of cool stuff DIY as far as like that goes. So, okay, going back to some of the actual reef YouTube stuff that I saw somewhat recently, there was on Parker's reef, he was showing his lighting setup, and he's got these doors that are automated on the canopy, so he hits a couple of buttons and the things flip open. But what I thought was really cool was on the back of the tank, he has like these motorized legs that kind of like hold up the lighting fixture, and so if he wants to get into the tank, he can raise and lower the lighting because it's kind of like on this motorized thing. The only thing that I would have changed is like his motorized legs are basically attached to the tank. They're right on the back of the tank. And for me, I like to kind of minimize the exposure of like non-reef aquarium equipment to like salt creep and splashes and stuff like that. So what I would have done is, because, okay, guys know what like a standing desk looks like? So you have like your tabletop, and it's usually like 2 legs, and you hit a button and it goes to like different levels, right? Well, if you can imagine just like flipping that table upside down and sticking it to the ceiling, that's probably what I would do. So that tabletop now being pointed down, hook your lights to that. And so if you wanted to like lower the lights, It's just kind of in reverse, but you know, you can like raise and lower the lighting, but still have all the electronics kind of like above, way above the tank. I think that'd be like really cool if I ever have like a home aquarium, which is looking unlikely. Colin Harkins, did I miss any bird's nest? I think you did. I remember seeing at least one bird's nest go by. Philly, Becca should try Chic Zelda. She would look great in it. I think the variant of Link that she went with was like Fierce Deity Link from Majora's Mask. Grim 2.0. How do I get item number 145? Okay. So, in order to make purchases, you go to TidalGardens.com. That's our online store. And if you go to TidalGardens.com/live, you will see all of these corals on the live show page. And you pretty much just toss it into your shopping cart and check out as if it were a regular item. You can also find a link to it, I believe, in the description of this video. There's also kind of like an FAQ on that same page, in case you're wondering about like how shipping works and all that stuff. But yep, for simplicity, it's TidalGardens.com/live. And Diacanthus has also thrown in some info for you. And you'll also notice that sometimes, like for example, looking at like number 148 here, that multiple units are available. So one person is going to get this unit as like a, what you see is what you get, but everybody else that orders after that will be getting something that's basically the same thing. I mean, we've got trays and trays and trays of Idaho Grape Montipora. So I don't know exactly how many of them are available on the site. Usually it's between like, I don't know, 2 to 5 or so at this price point. So yeah, so this one is what, $15 off, 43%? Decent savings. Echo Vald just made a cross-country move. That's a big deal. And getting ready to set up a new tank. I wish I could be participating in the Halloween sales events. Aww. So do we, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, next time. Take your time, set up your tank the way you want it. Now, see, the nice thing about starting up a new tank or restarting a tank is you get to kind of like go through all the lessons that you've learned setting up tanks in the past and kind of correcting all of that stuff going forward. It's kind of like a nice opportunity. So if you are following our YouTube channel, we've done a couple of videos lately on Nathan's tank change. He's gone from like an older 220 something gallon tank to now a 500 and something gallon tank. And yeah, it's coming along really nicely. I need to get back over there even because he's now, he's got fish and coral and everything like that. So I might wait a little bit longer and then head over there and see how everything's working out. Because I think the last update I did was about 3 days ago and there were no fish or corals, at least not a whole lot of fish or corals. And so yeah, I'm guessing it looks pretty different right now. Mo, since we are on Montipora, have you tried grafting? I think that the guys may have done a little bit with it, but I haven't paid great close attention to it personally. Harkins, hello all. Welcome back. Nathan's tank is 486 gallons. Yeah, at some point, I kind of stopped trying to calculate it because if you do the whole length times width times height, on these larger tanks, when the glass thickness is like 3/4 inches. So on either end, so now you're shaving off 1.5 inches on every dimension. Plus if there's like interior bracing, normally it wouldn't be a big deal, but on big aquariums, now you're removing like significant volume there. Sometimes there's like internal overflow boxes, and that's eating up way more room. Like I think that for a couple of my tanks, the overflow boxes might be like 20 gallons or something like that. It's like a lot. So yeah, I mean, at some point it's like, it's this size, give or take 50 gallons. Angel F. Goku, yes. I will do the like a quick 1 second Super Saiyan, okay? Boop. That's it. That wasn't even 1 second. Here we go. 1 second. Ah. Let's see. He did his inside measurements. But yeah, like I said though, there's like, if there's one of those big braces on the inside and stuff. But yeah, 486 sounds about right. Sure. And he's got roughly another 100 in the frag tank. Probably another 100 in the sump, something like that. But yeah, it's a good sized tank for sure. It's a 9-foot long tank. Yeah, Andrew, who misses the screaming alpacas? You know, I haven't heard the alpacas in a long time. I don't know if they're still there even. The craft beer, I don't remember the last time I drank a craft beer. It's been a while. Echo Vault, I love your coral spotlights and care videos. Super informative. Thank you. I need to get back on doing that. I've just been some combination of busy or distracted, so scripting coral specific videos has been tough, but I really want to, like, here's the thing. I've done just about every coral. I mean, I haven't done like Leptastria, for example, and maybe there's like 1 or 2 others that I haven't done. But then I look and I'm like, you know what? I really need to do like one on like ZOAS again, like, because here's the thing, I've done maybe like 2 or 3 videos on ZOAS, but then you look back and I did those 7 years ago. I mean, a lot has changed in 7 years, you know, and here's the funny thing, it's like sometimes those videos are like a minute long and it's like, oh yeah, I totally covered ZOAS. Maybe it's time I kind of like went back to that and maybe, I don't know, talked a little bit more about it in depth. So there's a couple of corals that are kind of like that. So I would like to revisit like Blastomussa, for example. I'd like to, again, revisit Zoanthids. There's a few more on the list, kind of like that. But I think that would be like a nice topic. But again, there's been a lot going on here. All positive stuff, so I'm not complaining. All positive. But it's really easy, for at least for me, to get distracted. And I need to be in like a zone when it comes to like sitting down and writing. And there's just not a lot of time that I get to do that. So it might be a little bit. Grim 2.0. Got my very first doser. Okay. Dosing something at 2 mils each hour. Yeah, dosing pumps. Believe it or not, I only have maybe like one of them actually dosing like alkalinity in one system or something like that. So far, in the one that's doing that right now, I think is a SpectraPure liter meter, and it's doing a pretty good job so far. It just happened to be one that we've had sitting in a cupboard for a long time, and we just decided to install it. Andrew K. How quickly do the rainbow / hyper watermelon chalices grow at Tidal Gardens? A little ahead, but excited to see those on the live show. Yeah, they grow pretty well here, I would have to say. It was really weird though for one of them. So I would say that as far as like chalices grow, there's some varieties of chalice that are like super fast growing, like Hollywood Stunner, that type of chalice. But the hyper watermelons, they grow kind of like, so I think that they're echinopora. Like, don't quote me on that. I'm really not some chalice taxonomist. But that type of like kind of that small polyped Indonesian chalice, they grow pretty quickly. For whatever reason, we had like this awesome one. It was like the size of, I don't know, like a softball. And for whatever reason, it just crashed. Like it just got super pale and emaciated looking. It's like, what the heck happened here? And I have a feeling it's because it was in one of our newer systems that was like kind of accidentally ultra low nutrient, and it just got starved out of something. And this was with us like directly feeding it. Like we would turn off the pumps, feed all the corals maybe 3 times a week, but it was just missing that something on those other days perhaps, and it just didn't do well. But luckily we have some growing elsewhere. Aqua Blue Bear, long-time watcher and thumbs upper, but first-time chatter. Welcome. Love seeing what coral I can get if I got my button gear and set up a proper system. I'll tell you, the longer you wait and learn and kind of like invest in like slightly better equipment, it pays dividends. And the thing is, you don't even have to go crazy with the equipment. There's a lot of stuff in this industry that is entirely replaceable with other high-performing stuff at a much lower cost. So it's not even you need to save up like $1 billion to set up your 100-gallon tank. It's really not like that. You can, if you wanted to do it on a budget, you can, but doing it on a budget is a lot easier if you've really done your homework and you know what corners you can cut. So for example, if I was tasked to do a bargain basement tank, I bet I could probably do it. But the reason why I go super high end on everything is because there are these little tiny differences here and there that, again, probably don't even translate to the health of the animals. Sometimes it's just like a luxury that I appreciate, or I think would help out the guys or something. Excuse me. Excuse me. So sometimes when I make that type of investment, it's like, okay, well, it's a splurge, but you can totally do it for less. But you kind of have to have the knowledge going into it to make that type of decision making. So long story short, use this time wisely. Get a lot of different opinions. Plan. Grim, curious, what elk do your tanks sit at? We're trying to shoot for like 8-ish, between 8 and 10, but varying degrees of success in various different tanks. So, kind of piggybacking on that, Nikolai Morel. And by the way, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your first name incorrectly, but I'm pronouncing it as if it were Nikolai. When will you give your thoughts on the KH director? We could do it now. So here's the thing. I can't really compare it to like another similar product. Like I haven't used an alkatronic. I've heard good things. I haven't tried a Neptune, the Apex Neptune, whatever. I haven't tried it. Some people like that. So luckily for me, GHL had given me one of the KH directors, and we were kind of dumb, so we kind of installed it wrong, and it didn't work. But then, when we installed it right, when we grew a couple more brain cells, we got it up and running, and like clockwork, it's been delivering KH information. He does a test every morning. It is finally now, like, I guess, reading consistent. Now, it's reading consistently low compared to our Salifert test kit. So now the quandary is the Salifert test kit wrong, or is the KH director wrong? So we got some Triton test kits to send it off to the lab. And we got like the regular one, and we got like the NDoc, which I think that's the one that does the carbonate levels and whatever else. And when we sent in our samples, they did 2 sets of the regular test. They didn't do the NDoc test. So we have to send in another set of samples to have them do the correct test so that we can see who's lying, the Salifert test or the GHL director, KH director. Either way, I don't really super duper care, because what I'm looking for is like a consistent reading. Like, and right now it is consistent. It's saying that it's about 7.5, let's say. And then the Salifert test kit is consistently saying 8.5. So average it out, maybe it's an 8. I'll live with that. Bert Minishaw, Dan, I just saw Monty Nudie. You probably didn't. You probably didn't. So there's like a couple of Monties that we have on the sale. And I know that like when it gets to the edge of one of these things, it really looks like a Monty Nudie. I might even like remember exactly which one you're talking about. But the polyps themselves really look like a Monty Nudie, and that always gets me like super paranoid. Andrew, have you had any better luck with clams? I've struggled as well, even in an SPS dominant tank. Not sure why they struggle in my system. I haven't tried clams in a really long time. I'm not in a huge hurry to, because so I think clams are really cool. I know how fragile they are when they come in. And I don't love that already. We've had such poor experiences in the past. Yeah, not quite my thing. You know, maybe in the future. Maybe. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that, you know, I haven't done just because I had like a bad experience once in a million years ago. And, you know, maybe clams are a thing that I should get back into. So I've got these 2 show tanks downstairs, right, guys? And like maybe one of those things is, you know what, maybe I should just do like a heavy clam system. Like, how dope would that be? That might be pretty dope. We'll see. Bird's like, I'm kidding, I knew that would get you. Yeah. Well, I mean, like, Monty Nudies are no fun. But at least we have like a treatment that works. Like, it would be one thing where in the past they were completely unmanageable, right? Like, they just didn't care what you did. But nowadays, at least I know that Bayer, or what used to be Bayer, I think it's called Bio Advanced now, that does do a good job. And if you're talking like a home-based system, it's manageable. Totally, like, you can deal with it. It only really becomes a problem when you're talking about like giant farming systems where you're going to get like a flare up every few months. And this is coming from like a farm that doesn't bring in like wild caught Montes. Basically, wild Montes, I can already go ahead and assume those have nudibranchs. Every single one of them. Like without fail, I'm just going to go ahead and assume they all have nudies. All right, so I never bring them in. I don't care what that thing looks like, because the calculus is not. Let's just say I see some amazing high-end Monty, right? And it's like, well, I could pay hundreds of dollars wholesale for this Monty. That's not the calculus. The calculus is, do I pay hundreds of dollars wholesale for this really, really, really cool Monty, and then possibly lose all of my other Monties? So the answer to that is always no. So nowadays, if I really like a Monty, it better have come from a captive grown source. It better be a frag, and that thing absolutely will be going into bear and quarantine. So going back to the whole bear thing, I don't know if my UK crowd is still in chat, but from what I understand, it is not even legal to import that into the UK or the EU. I have a feeling it's super toxic to humans. But I'll tell you what, it sure does like to kill nudies. Hanson Victorio, I live in Indo, and keeping clams is forbidden. They're protected. I'm so jealous. So where do we get ours? I think that, dude, it's been so long. Marshall Islands or something like that. I know that there's like some farm, and this is all like pre-reopening of Indonesia. So I don't know if that has like messed substantially with how stuff is imported or not. I really don't know. UK peeps, dead all. Funny. I bought dead all. I like it. So I actually got it on Amazon, and it sure enough, it did come from the UK. So Dettol versus Bayer 100 out of 100 times, because there's a couple of reasons. So the thing I like Dettol for is for dealing with like flatworm issues. It's really, really, really good for flatworms. It's kind of similar to Coral RX, but it's clearly not Coral RX. It's very different than Coral RX, but it has that kind of that effect on flatworms, which I like. Now, when it comes to like nudies, though, I mean, does it work on nudies? Probably, but not to the extent that that the Bayer Bio Advanced, whatever that product is, that stuff that's like super milky and probably is making me grow a third arm or something. I don't know. But that stuff really works. Like scary good. That's like one thing that we could always use more of here. It's just to take and do like wholesale mass dipping of like everything. I mean, even stuff that doesn't necessarily need it, because like we talk about like a lot of like the really bad pests and stuff like that, but keeping stuff clean, even if it's like super minor, like, oh, it's just film algae, like nobody would care if they got film algae because it's going to show up regardless of what you want, right? But just periodically just cleaning, having something like soup get super clean, because could like double the growth rate of some of these corals. And if there was just like a way to kind of like have that get done like more frequently, possibly even automated, that'd be so cool. To that topic, I did a video on like my ideal frag system, and the last thing that I mentioned on that list was to basically have a tank that is always empty. And by empty, I mean has no water in it. Like it is completely dead. And before I would put anything into it, I'd flush that thing out with fresh water, give it a completely new source of salt water, and then move over all the corals from one of my other tanks, move all the fish over, and then completely drain and sterilize that tank. And do that rotation once every month. Because I've noticed that just being able to hard reset a tank is so valuable. Like there's like so many like health benefits to it. I mean, maybe this is like one of those like fad diets for yourself, like some kind of like cleansing juice cleanse or whatever. But I think that there's some merit to that when it comes to aquaculture. Now, the only, like, I guess, downside to that is that you run into the problem of, like, larger aquariums, and you always have to leave one of them empty. And that's, like, a huge loss in production. But I think at some point, the loss in production there is like so minor compared to the benefit of doing that hard reset and giving all those corals like a quick rough cleaning. So like any of these little nuisances that aren't like, you know, game changing awful, oh, your whole farm is gonna like crash and burn. It's like, no, it's just kind of like a nuisance, right? But just being able to periodically just eliminate, I think would just be like so good for a farm long term. I think in the future I want to set something like that up where we could just crop rotate like once a month, like clockwork, just go. Yeah. So Diacanthus said, I do that with quarantines a lot. And we definitely do that with quarantine, hard resetting quarantines. It just, you know, stuff when you do that, stuff just looks different. I like it. So I think we're coming up on like the last 20-ish, I would say. So hopefully you guys have had a pretty good time so far. Any SPS, or did I miss it? My friend, I think you might have missed a whole bunch of SPS. You can go back and skim through, obviously, the past footage. You could also go to tidalgardens.com/live. And if you see a thumbnail of some of the SPS that we still have, you know, in the past, guys, so for you guys that are like new to this whole live show thing, on our website, tidalgardens.com/live, we didn't have thumbnails. Like the thumbnail would say item number 194 or item number 195. That's it. Black and white, the number. That is it. And you'd basically have to watch the live show just to see what was item number 195. Nobody knows. Luckily, I have more staff here, and so we can actually shoot thumbnails along with everything and get that batch uploaded, blah, 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 blah. It's a thing now. So if you wanted to go back, quickly like skim through the website, that might be the easiest and fastest way to see all of the stuff. And then if you wanted to see the video of it, it's like, you know now that, hey, I wanted to see item number 195, or I wanted to see item number 36 to see all the SPS. I don't know what item number 36 is. My guess it's probably a ZOA. But towards the middle of the show is probably when we did a lot of the SPS. But yeah, before I forget, why don't I say my thank yous once more? I will start. This time I'll start, you know what, I'll start with the Patreon crowd. So real quick, thank you Bill Russell, Brandy Camp, Christopher Frame, Jeremy Altman, Joseph Debo, Alan Jackson, Chuck Admire, Deju, oh, I'm brutalizing that, Ernest Wallace Jr., Gene A. Van Voorst, Greg Zimmerman, Gwen Nicodemus, Hal Scott, Harkins Aquatics, Jordan, Keith Singer, Kevin Cortez, Lisa Clow, Phil Harton, Puddle Aquatics, Reef Infidel, Rico's Aquariums, Rigoberto Rodriguez, Ryan Kern, Santa Nomine, Scotty D, Skylar Korn, Sue Hemmons, The Classroom Reef, Thomas Tarrant, Trevor Joseph Overbeck, Zara McIntosh, Rebecca Hall, and Tim Garner. Thank you, thank you. And also to the YouTube members, Prime members. Are they Prime members or an Amazon thing? Premium members. I think that's what they called on YouTube. But thank you to Deidre Zuener, Susa Melinda, Two Please Coral Reefs, Hal Scott, and Joseph Posada. Thank you, thank you. Let's see. Diacanthus, are you still planning on redoing the T5 combination comparison video? I find myself sending new hobbies to the Advanced Reef Aquarium channel for that video quite a lot lately. Maybe. Maybe. I would have to think of how I would do that. Like actually setting that back up. Anything is possible. Anything's possible. Maybe. We probably could. We meaning Becca, go do this. No, I think that would be a good thing, and also maybe even comparing that a little bit to some of the LED fixes. Maybe not to LED, because here's the thing: LED in person versus LED on camera, very different. LED on camera, not that good, and we do shoot it a lot these days just because we kind of have to. It's not my favorite thing, but yeah. Perhaps the T5 one is good. Even though T5s are getting less and less popular, it is still an outstanding tech. Okay, even though I don't have a super chat to go off of, I'm going to Super Saiyan the last little bit of this show, just for fun. Oh, yeah, poor Becca. No, I've been very fortunate lately. I've got a good staff. Makes life a lot easier. I'm just hoping that again, these days I don't ask for a whole lot. I just want to make sure things stay moving. And I didn't mention it before, but we just got a new workstation. Really cool. I built it out of that aluminum T-slot stuff, and then had a local company here called Aquacrylic build a custom top for it that has a basin for the saw and everything like that. So if you follow us on any social media, I think that we've posted a picture on it on Facebook and Patreon and on the YouTube community thing. Don't know what it's called, the community tab for our channel. So you can take a look at that. It's really slick looking. It's pretty. It's very, very, very clean looking and white. And the thing I like about it is that it's wall mounted, so there's no legs to get in the way of cleaning the floors or anything like that. I'm big into that now. That's kind of been my jam lately. Is anything that can be bolted to the wall with no legs, let's do that. So yeah, in the next couple of days here, we'll be getting that whole thing better fleshed out and a whole lot more productive. We just kind of had some inexpensive tables. They're previously, but now having like a custom fabricated, purpose-built workstation will make it so much easier to do stuff there. Gabriel Berkey, hey everyone, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you too. I wanted to try something different today, obviously. Like there's a couple little different things. But yeah, I wanted to go as an animated character for Halloween. So let's see. I forget how many corals we're going to, like 214, 218, something like that. We'll see. But if you have any last minute questions, you guys, now's the time. I unfortunately won't be able to do very much in the way of overtime because the plumber was here today, and I want to make sure I get a quick update on what actually got done. So I will have to leave right on the dot and see what actually went on here. One would think I know what's going on here. It's like I rarely do. I rarely do. So is anybody doing anything for Halloween? Are there any like cool things going on? I've been in a total like internet black hole of watching Among Us videos. You guys know what Among Us is? It's like this video game that everybody's playing. And here's the thing, I don't even play. I watch other people play. It's like the weirdest thing, but that's what I've been spending my time with when I do decide to sit and relax. Carrie Robbins, I was serious about the pallies earlier. What precautions do you need to take when keeping them? So pallies are one of those things where it's like, how safe are they? Probably extremely safe. Could they kill you? Yes. Yes, they can. So it's one of those things like, what level of precaution should you take? You should be careful because they could kill you. Having said that, what do? Not very much. Like we don't even try to propagate them that much, but whenever we do, it's like, make sure to like, don't cut them and then cut yourself, that sort of thing. Like I don't even like to handle them, to be perfectly honest, because like I can feel them just through like my skin. Like everything just feels different just handling. And some of them, like, they mucus up like crazy. So the big honking giant ones, I don't really even like to mess with. The smaller micro ones, like the Purple Death, Nuclear Green, that sort of thing, I treat those basically like ZOAS. I don't really even care. But it's like the PALYTHOA grandis, for example, those are when, time to take some better precautions, and but like some of the other like just random larger ones that aren't the PALYTHOA grandis kind, yeah, those are gross. Those are real gross. So if you are concerned, wouldn't be the worst idea in the world to have gloves. Some people go as far as having like respirators and goggles. We don't do that. But if it is a concern of yours, no downside in trying that. Yeah, definitely don't cut up PALYTHOAs and then use that same knife to cut up an apple later. That would be bad. And it's an oddly specific example that I totally didn't literally see in person before. I wouldn't recommend it. So here's one thing. So we're looking at item number like 213 right now, right? The speckled KRAKATOA ZOAS. Most things that look like this in the industry are called pallies. I'm like almost 100% sure that these are ZOAS. there's so many different types of ZOAs, and there's so very few types of PALYTHOA that I think a lot of what passes for a pally these days is really just a large species of ZOA. So even on my site, you might see like some large ZOAs in the pally section, only because that's kind of what people are familiar with. But if we're really keeping score, my bet is that like 99% of everything is really a ZOA, and there's very few things like PALYTHOA grandis, nuclear green, purple death stuff that's really a pally. David L. It's all fun and games till you have a severe reaction. That is true. Luckily, we don't do like really wild stuff. Like I've one of the places that I've seen before. They they do a lot of cutting with a bandsaw, and they just had a new guy, and new guy was responsible for cutting PALYTHOA that day, and they ended up running like a whole bunch of like one of those really gross pallies just through the saw. Whole place got sick. Yeah, it could be really bad. But I would kind of classify that as stuff you probably shouldn't do. Running PALYTHOAs through a bandsaw and then blowing that across your building with a giant fan. I would not recommend doing that. And if you're really worried about PALYTHOA, you can just avoid them altogether. Like, it's not exactly a must-have. There's really no such thing as like a must-have. So like, yeah, if you are concerned, avoid it. Avoid it altogether. You're not missing out on like, I don't know. It's not going to grant wishes. It's not a genie, right? It'll be okay. There's plenty of other stuff that you can enjoy through this hobby. And it's like, do we live in like a simulation? Like we're talking about pallies, and here we go. It's like, this is like the first pally that I've seen on the show. There might have been a grandis earlier, but yeah. This is kind of one of those like Captain America-esque pallies. But like I said, if you are concerned, don't do it. It's not worth it. Yeah, luckily I have not had like a severe reaction, but it's entirely possible. And that does it, you guys. We're back at the beginning. So once again, thank you so much for attending. We will be probably doing most of the shipping out on Monday. And if there's like some late stragglers and then we've kind of like hit our packing limit, we will put it off until Tuesday or whenever. And what I mean by whenever is sometimes people will request a later date. The live show itself, these corals will be available until like right around like Tuesday or Wednesday. I think officially we say that it'll be up for at least 72 hours. And we're not in a huge hurry to take them all down, so you are likely good if you wanted to think on anything for a while, assuming that somebody else hasn't purchased it already. But anyway, that's kind of like the general housekeeping, right? So once again, thank you guys so much. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Halloween, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.